How's it going, Vikings fans? Welcome back into another Monday night Minnesota Vikings live stream. It is Victory Monday, though it does not necessarily feel like a Victory Monday. Obviously, with the injury, of course, to quarterback Kirk Cousins. We'll get into all of that as we go through here. But at the end of the day, the Minnesota Vikings are 4-4, the current 7th seed in the NFC playoffs. As of right now, like a game and a half ish out of first place. Lions haven't played, but I don't know, man. It's obviously it's a very somber Monday feeling. You hope to be a little happier after a win, but I guess yeah. I mean, obviously we got a lot to talk about tonight, especially with the trade deadline approaching tomorrow. But other than that, how are we doing this evening?
Oh, we're doing all right. You hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay.
How about me? I good?
Yeah. It seemed like I had some technical difficulties there. I just want to shout out everybody in the chat real quick. We got Gary in here, of course, and we've got his boy Adam in the building as well. Welcome to Purple Gang, Adam. You're in good company here. It's the best group of Viking fans on the internet, actually in general, but especially on YouTube. What up, Too Evil? We got Too Evil in here. We got Kofi in here, guys. I'm in pain. Yeah, Kirk's Kofi's boy, man. Kirk is Kofi's boy. Yeah, dude. I don't know. It's just such a Viking thing, dude.
Right?
It's just such a Viking thing. It's just, right before the 49ers game, you kind of sit there and you're like, all right, what should the Vikings do here? We're at a point in the season where we kind of, you're kind of like looking towards the future and the future, like who's going to be the quarterback you draft this season or this offseason, whatever. And then you go in the 49ers game. It's like, all right, the only way, like, in my opinion, I was like, all right, maybe we can turn this season around. But the only way that happens is if we go out and have a convincing win against the 49ers, not even just a win wasn't good enough for me, but it was going against the 49ers and then playing, putting our foot on the gas through all 4 quarters and having a very convincing win, in which we went and did. And it was like, okay, like that's a great first step to turning the season around. And then now you're going against the Packers in Lambeau Field. And it's like, all right, all we hope now is like, we still need to see us go beat a not very good team, like dominate a not very good team, and we go to Lambeau and we do that exact same thing. So it's like, man, all your hopes are turning around, everything for the season to turn around. And then of course Kirk Cousins gets the Achilles tear and is out for the season. But it's just, man, it's just like, as soon as you get your hopes up, like our hopes were already down, like it was already low right before that 49ers game. And then you really it takes a lot to start 2-4. What were we, 2-5? No,
Yeah.
2-4.
Yeah, 1.0-3. Like,
yeah, we were 2-4 before that 49ers game. And you have to do you need to do a lot to make us feel like we might have a chance to go playoffs and do something in it. And the Vikings portrayed that by beating arguably who have not been looking good recently, though, the 49ers, and then going and having a dominant performance against Green Bay. So it's just, and then with Kirk going down, like regardless of how you feel about Kirk, you do kind of need him. If you want a chance to go to playoffs and hopefully do something in there, you would want Kirk Cousins behind, behind. But
right. And the thing with, like, let's be real here. I mean, again, like you said, like, just put aside how you feel about Kirk Cousins in general, and just from a basic quarterback perspective, the way he had been playing the last couple weeks, and honestly, even in some of the losses, the way he was still playing. I mean, obviously, the Carolina game wasn't his best, and neither was Chicago. But even in some of those losses against really good teams, he played very, very well. If this team somehow, and we were starting it, would have kept going on that run, and we would have made a run at the playoffs, and we'd have been in contention, Kirk Cousins is probably a top 3 to 5 MVP candidate. Because you look at the rest of the league. You look at the rest of the league, who else was really there, right? There's really nobody else who's high and away keeping. I mean, like the Chiefs even right now, like Mahomes isn't playing his best. That team isn't as dominant. I mean, maybe Jalen Hurts, maybe Christian McCaffrey even, but they're starting to lose a little bit. So Kirk Cousins would have been up there had this season kind of gone the way we were all hoping it would have in this turnaround. And then the injury, especially for a guy who just never gets hurt, it's just, and again, like, I don't care how you feel about Kirk Cousins, this sucks. Like, at the end of the day, that was my first thought after the game. Like, played our hearts out, 2 really good weeks in a row. Yeah, you just have that feeling like things were finally starting to take that turn. And then the injury, and now we're just kind of here with, again, more questions and answers. I know for the people that want to look forward to next year, and for both people that want to look forward to next year, the people that are still on this year, it's all murky at this point. So
We're in the same exact spot we were before that 49ers game.
right. And now, but now it's quicker. Like before, you could delay all the talk when you win. Now the fact that you're winning, but you lost your starting quarterback, a guy who's playing top 5, 8, 10 this year, a guy who could have potentially worked himself into the MVP conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And now you just don't have that. And he's gone. And now you're with, rookie quarterback Jaron Hall, Sean Mannion on the practice squad. You got Nick Mullins, who could come back in a couple weeks. But
yeah,
now it's Kwesi's, and that's the thing. If you make any sort of trade right now with how you've been playing, that's a telling sign to the rest of your team that you're throwing in the towel. If you decide to make a move and you decide to move it to Danielle Hunter, like the rest of the team, that the feeling there is, okay, I guess we're just done here. I guess we're giving up on the season and moving forward, kind of into the future. But man, it's just, it sucks. It sucks. And I guess tomorrow will be, within the next 24 hours, we'll know what direction this team is going to take. And I personally don't look at any outside of options, and I'm happy about it. Like you try with getting back into the playoff race, you try your best to sit there and be like, hey, well, if we get this guy, we can make this run. If we trade for this, we can do that. And Kevin O'Connell, I think he kind of put it best today, that he said in the press conference that like they're trying to manage both sides. He's like, we understand we have a solid team right now. We're trying to be competitive. We're right back into things. Like, but at the same time, we do need to look towards the future. And just hearing him say that tells me they're not going to make any sort of significant trade for anybody. And who would you make a trade for? Kyler Murray? You're not taking on that contract.
No.
Not. Or Jameis Winston, maybe. I guess he's cheap enough. That'd be the easiest choice.
Probably.
But at the end of the day, it's just,
I don't think so. I
think you sit, and for me, you roll with Jaron Hall. He's been here.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll let you give your thoughts on that. But then I kind of want to talk about what this means for the future with Kevin O'Connell as well.
Okay. Back to the Jaron Hall thing. I'm with you. I do think, I don't know. It's still a weird season at the end of the day, even though like we have all this momentum shifting forward. Like you said, we started 0-3 and we're 2-4 before that 49ers game. And then now we're sitting here 4-4. You lose Kirk Cousins. And it's like, it would be different if we were 6-2, let's say, even 5-3 feels a little bit different as far as like, okay, let's try to still make a playoff push and maybe do something. But I don't know. You're at 4-4. It does kind of feel like what should we do? Like, do you go out and trade for a guy? And especially like you said, I don't think there's really anybody out there that we can trade for and bring in and feel confident like he's going to be a huge upgrade than what Jaron Hall could even be potentially. So I'm on board with the idea of sticking with Jaron Hall, at least until like Mullins comes back, unless Jaron Hall's looking really good. So, there is that chance that Jaron Hall comes in and plays well. You can't expect him to be able to, move this offense around the same way as Kirk Cousins can. But at the same time, like, who knows? We don't know. He's a complete mystery. And I definitely like that idea. And you'll get a good look into him, especially if you go into next year's draft looking for a quarterback and knowing like, all right, I think, we know what Hall is for sure now. And you might feel a little bit better about picking one early. So I'm on team with roll with Jaron Hall. He has enough pieces. I know Dave was talking about this. Honestly, there's not a lot better teams that could be in a better position for like a young rookie quarterback than our team, especially when JJ comes back and how the offensive line is playing. And it is another, like, people are comparing it to like the Brock Purdy thing and stuff like that because everything it starts with the offensive line. The fact that the offensive line is so much improved, it just is perfect for a young quarterback. So, I think Jaron Hall would have the best chance to succeed in our situation, but we'll see. I want to do a couple more shout outs here real quick. We got Sarah in the building. We got Frozen North in the building. What up? I missed a couple up here. We got Justin's in the building. Who else we got in here? Already got you, Frozen. I know I saw some more up here. Skull for Life Barber in the building. We got Dylan Dotson in the building. We got Justin in the building. Let's go. Man, it's so hard because it's such, coming into this, we got our AP in the building. Let's go. Hey, we got Austin, my boy, in the building as well. But yeah, man, it's just you just go and destroy a Packers team at Lambeau Field, and it's like that still happened, but it is, I don't know, it makes me feel just conflicted moving forward. Like I obviously I'm still on board. Like, hey, bring Jaron Holland if he can ball out or at least do like a pretty solid job. Like, I'm ready for a turnaround this season still, and hey, make a push, whatever. It is what it is. So I'm not ready to give up unless, it's just if losing Kirk Cousins becomes extremely aware that this team is going to have a hard time making that push.
Right.
So yeah, I know you want to get into some Kevin Conner. One thing I actually wanted to bring up real quick. It was my birthday Saturday, and one of my buddies got me this thing, beer glass. Pretty cool Viking beer glass thing.
Well, happy late birthday from GG Sports Podcast.
Let's go. But we'll celebrate a little bit here.
Nobody ever told me about celebration.
I did. Celebration. Hey, we still won the game. I know it's
I would have grabbed one from the fridge had I known.
Well, yeah, you're not that far away.
That is very true. It's just in the other room. Which, by the way, I'm testing out the new setup. Still got to come up with the camera arrangement. This may change, but for now it is what it is. But one thing I did want to say, and I just want to do this quickly. We can move on after because I know this could eventually be something that I bring up and we go for a couple hours on this, but I don't ever, we've had the conversation here, I don't ever want to hear that Kirk Cousins isn't a good leader again in my life, because everything that happened the last 24 hours proved exactly to be otherwise. Does he hold people accountable? Yes. There was a play where there was a delay of game because Jordan Addison wasn't lined up. And you see Kirk Cousins absolutely irate, furious with Jordan Addison. That's holding people accountable.
That is definitely.
After the game, you watch the post-game presser. Or you listen to Kevin O'Connell. You watch the post-game locker room speech. That's a W. That's in Lambeau winning that game, and no one's smiling. You could just tell there was a somber mood around this team losing their quarterback and their leader. And just all the comments afterwards, man. And even afterwards, Kirk Cousins sitting on the cart, cheering on the offense.
I know that's why you feel for him, man. That's why you feel for him.
And that's the thing. Nobody's ever, and that's, I understand. Nobody's ever said that they hate Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, we all know he's a good dude. And he's a really, really good quarterback. Is he great? That's a conversation for a different day. But Kirk Cousins is a really, really good quarterback, and you could tell this team loves him, and that's the part that hurts the most. The guy, and as you said, he has a potentially top 5 offensive line. He has a defense that is opportunistic and fun to watch. He has weapons, even without JJ. He has Jordan Addison who's stepping up. KJ Osborne. You can see the competition. This is what competition does, man. KJ Osborne, before we involved Addison more, we're like, what are we doing here? KJ sucks. Now he's playing really, really good football. So is EJ Hawkinson.
He had one drop, but
this, and then Kirk it takes all the hits in the world, man. And then he hurts himself on a non-contact play, and he gets lost for the season. That's just the part that it's gutting, man. And I sat there. You feel bad because we're Vikings fans. We want our team to win. We feel bad for that. I feel bad for Kirk Cousins, man. This could have been a phenomenal. This could have been the year that puts him in that top echelon of quarterbacks at the age of 35. And now, for him, you talk about the Vikings' future uncertain. His future is uncertain, right? I mean, and I honestly. And I'm just sorry, Kat. And I'm just gonna end it. I'm gonna end it on this, and we don't need to get into it. I see a world where Kirk Cousins gets a 2-year extension here on a lesser contract, no trade clause. Because at this point, with the nature of his injury and how long it might take for him to get back into shape, and as well as be ready to pass a physical, I don't know if there's. I mean, I think a team will try to sign him, but if it might be best for both sides. He stays here. He gets to end his career in Minnesota, and then we bring in a rookie. And he has a chance to sit. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with the whole rookie sitting situation, but I think it could work really, really well in this scenario. Because as we see all the time, it's not the best idea to take a quarterback and toss him in. Or sometimes it is. Look at Will Levis. He goes in yesterday. People think this guy needs to sit and learn for a year. And then now he is and now he's out there and he's playing really, really, really good football. So I mean, I know people don't want to hear it, but if from a competitive standpoint, the future of the team standpoint, it's not the worst idea, especially with the guy playing the way he was playing and feel like he can carry that into the next season.
I would say, like to your point, like if the idea was, let's say he's coming off Achilles and like no team really wants to touch him or he's not going to get the deal he's
Which
going
I
to.
think he still will. He'll garner some
Yeah,
interest.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I do think even though he has this Achilles, I think a team he is gonna get paid still. Maybe not as much. So I still believe the Vikings pass on him. I don't think he'll be cheap enough to like it'd be different. Like obviously, if we go and pick a rookie quarterback, unless it's Drake May or Caleb Williams, we're probably gonna want some veteran back there. And if that person was Kirk and it was 2 years and it was cheap or whatever. Like I'd rather have him back there than a Jameis Winston, probably something like that. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that's one thing I feel bad about him because yeah, it is a contract season, and I do like regardless of whether I want him on our team or not. Moving forward, I do want him to go get paid somewhere else because he's such a good dude, obviously. And then plus, had his whole career without any injuries. And then he probably has arguably the best 2 games of his career back to back. And then he goes down with an injury. So that's a part that is killer for me. So I mean, I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be cheap enough where I think we will sign him for a couple more years, especially coming off an Achilles, right? Because then makes even less sense. Even though I would love to do Kirk right, but I still think Kirk's going to go somewhere else and get paid. So I think it's more likely we move on from him now.
I think it does depend on the market, I guess. And I'm sure he's going to be smart. He's going to field offers. But if he doesn't get anything like substantially more than what he would get here, I really do think that he could stay. But at the end of the day, we can get off this because we've all had the same tired conversation. I just want to toss the part out there that Kirk Cousins is.
It's not,
no matter what people say, that the dude's a leader. The dude's really good at football, and he gains the respect of his teammates. And that's at the end of the day, that's kind of what it is. And then
I just want to say, you're talking about leadership, and obviously, I think you're absolutely right. He showed extreme leadership during his injury and even getting off the field, and he knew what was going on, and you can't really see it on his face. Like there was like no pout look on his face. Like it was like, I don't know. It kind of hit. Like you're just like, man, he's just taking it so well. But moving forward, if Jaren Hall does come in, and you just know that Kirk Cousins is the type of guy who's going to be rooting for Jaren Hall more than anybody, and that's where you're going to really see the Kirk Cousins leadership that we want, is how he handles Jaren Hall in the quarterback room and lifts him up.
And I think he's going to, personally.
What's that?
I think he's going to. It sounds like
I think he is 100. I think you were going to see that big time too. I think our whole fan base, even I know everybody in here. Nobody wants to see in Purple Gang. Nobody wants to see Kirk Cousins get hurt. There's other Vikings fans out here that I'm sure a lot of people are aware of on Twitter this past weekend that feel a little bit differently. But everyone wants the best for Kirk Cousins. We're just not for sure if we want him to be our quarterback of the future, whatever. But I do think we're going to see a new level of love for Kirk Cousins, honestly, being on the sidelines and kind of being that mentor for Jaren Hall moving forward. And that is with wrap up here talking about Jaren Mahomes Hall. If he comes in and he just looks pretty good, because he has the thing with Jaren Mahal, it does kind of feel a little bit Brock Purdy-ish, where he feels like a pretty safe quarterback, like someone that would probably have like we look at him as a backup, a second backup quarterback, like career backup type of guy, maybe even better than that. But that's kind of like where we see his floor at, right? So that just because we feel confident that he makes smart decisions and stuff, so we might be able to see something out from him from that. But so I don't know. I think that's when we're going to really see a lot of Kirk leadership. And I think it's something we get behind a lot, especially if Jaren Hall ends up being a pretty solid quarterback that, you see him and you see the mentor and Kirk Cousins and JJ comes back and stuff. So, I wouldn't say, in my opinion, like the season can still be turned around because the way we handled Green Bay was just so dominant. It was such a great game, man. Back to back, in my opinion, the best 2 games I've witnessed the Vikings have since having KOC, and probably even a couple years. Honestly, arguably 2 of the best games we've seen since that 18 season, right? That's 2017 or 18.
17, yep.
17 season. You said Mahomes Hall.
Hey,
I got hope here. I want Jaren Hall. Like, if there's a chance, like Jaren Hall comes in here and he is, I know people been saying this, you're pushing limits, but like the Tom Brady or Brock Purdy or, those type of quarterbacks,
But everybody said that about,
that's a real hope that could
yeah,
happen.
everybody said that about those guys too, though. It's like, what are these guys? Don't be trying to say they're gonna become something great. And Purdy is kind of on the downturn, but anyway. So, but you mentioned Kevin O'Connell as well as Jaron Hall here. So that's kind of where I want to segue this next.
One thing before you jump into there, again, everybody, another show, another Justin Jefferson rookie card select. This is a solid one, actually. So get those hashtag skulls in the comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, but get those hashtag skulls in here. We'll run it after the end of the show here.
So obviously, a couple weeks ago, probably about a month ago at this point, I went on a good, probably 5-minute rant to start one of these about Kevin O'Connell. And so the first thing is, I think, especially these last 2 weeks, I think we have seen the best of what Kevin O'Connell can, not the best. We've seen the growth we want to see from Kevin O'Connell as a coach. This last game, we'll get into that. A few questionable things. It is what it is. But so this, and that's why I think this season could be the season that propels Kevin O'Connell to the heights we wanted him to get to, right? So last season, he got a tad bit lucky with those wins, right? But of course, good coaches find a way to win those games and good teams find a way to win those games. That's what they did last year. Mm-hmm. This season started out on the flip side, right? We lose close games, a lot of turnovers, so at 0-3. People question, is this guy the right guy? Is he too nice? What's not working here? Something ain't working, and a part of this does fall on the head coach. And then, so this season, so far, he's taken the high expectations to start. He's gotten down to the lowest of lows you can get to, 0-3 start, everything going the wrong way, nothing going the way you need it to. He dug his team out of that hole, right? A couple whatever wins. You beat San Francisco on Monday Night Football, and you started to see those changes in that game against Green Bay, against San Francisco. He's more aggressive on offense. Defense was working in tandem. The offensive line's finally starting to come together. You're starting to see those big moments. You're like, Kevin, what are you doing? Nothing head scratching that happened throughout those moments. You're starting to see that growth. And now what happens? You're right back into the thick of things. And you lose your top 8-10 quarterback who has been playing absolutely phenomenal, would have been a sleeper MVP candidate, right? So now you have a team with some expectations again. You're right back in the playoff hunt. You have a young quarterback coming up through the ranks here in Hall. And I don't think this team's going to sell. I think this team's going to try to make a run with what they have, because I don't think they want to portray that they're willing just to give up, which is what they do if they start making trades. Yeah. So this season could be Kevin O'Connell's telling point. Because how do you navigate it from here? What do you do with these young quarterbacks? Can you coach them up to be serviceable? Yesterday, he put him in some very, very bad situations. We're up 2 scores, and he tries to have him throw the football coming in cold off the bench. He said, I kind of wanted to just put him right in there and just kind of have it go, show him that I had faith in him. I get that to an extent, but at the same time, you got to be a little bit smarter with the quarterback coming in off the bench. I didn't love the idea behind that. But at the end of the day, though, I think this is going to be very telling for Kevin O'Connell. Yeah. What do you do from here? How do you coach this team? How do you take this young guy and at least have him become a serviceable starter with the weapons you have on this team? And that's another part. This team is absolutely growing from a weapons perspective. And JJ, if he does decide with the whole question of will he play now that he doesn't have the contract and the injury, if he gets put back into this offense, it's going to be like you and Dave said, it's going to be a phenomenal spot for a young quarterback to come in. So I think this is gonna be a really. I don't think this isn't going to define Kevin O'Connell. If we completely slip and fall and we just don't end up going anywhere, I don't think this is going to be a negative point on Kevin O'Connell. But this is the way he can inspire a lot of hope, not only in this team but in the fan base going forward, especially if we plan on him drafting that next quarterback. So I think Kevin O'Connell, he's shown me a lot. Yeah, he showed me a lot these last couple of weeks, and this is what I love about Kevin. You feel, because you can tell he wants to be aggressive, and now he was actually letting his team do it, and the defense was playing really well. And I just, it's what you want to see from a young offensive-minded head coach, and the team will follow it. You can tell this team is playing inspired football right now. So yeah, I don't know. I have a lot. I'm back to having a lot of hope for Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, I want to go into that a little bit too, because you make a lot of good points there. And I want to go back to, obviously, me and you had a little bit of a disagreement. Actually, first off, I have to say no to this. We can start Sean Mannion, let's move on from Sean Mannion.
Yeah,
But
Sean Mannion can keep
no,
on.
back to I was on like I get like if we would have came out after Kirk's injury and we just ran the ball or whatever, which was definitely the smart play to do, I would have been like, okay, like whatever. But I respected Kevin O'Connell coming out and throwing the ball. In my opinion, I didn't think it's not impossible, but I'm not trying to play safe. I don't think you come and play too safe all the time in football. So I'm like, you're not gonna lose this game. Like the chances of you losing this game is so slim. And I like Kevin. I don't want Kevin O'Connell. He finally is pressing the gas. I don't want him to stop. I don't care. Like I get it. Yeah, there's a risk of losing games, but sometimes you got to, and especially the fact that he said like he wanted to just get Jared, like let Jared Hall know his confidence in him. So I loved it. I respected him to have him come out and throw the ball instead of just running out the clock. I actually really did like that. Even though playing, you are right. It's not always the best decision, but in this scenario, I kind of did like it. Another thing though is you're exactly right. Like this next 2-game stretch, I mean, this is going to be the biggest 2 games of KOC's career as a head coach, because you're talking about obviously you got a rookie, assuming Hall will definitely Hall's got to be quarterback this week, I think. But
Yeah,
but you got a rookie quarterback and you still have no JJ for at least 2 more games. So your best wide receiver, one of the best players in the NFL, and your quarterback's out. And so how he can handle that, especially from a game planning perspective. And I'm still on board. Like I know he's a rookie quarterback and you might want to play safe, but I'm still like, I don't want Kevin O'Connell to change the philosophy that I've been waiting for him to do. And that's what I'm kind of afraid of, especially if, if your plan is to actually turn around the season. I do think you kind of have to play the same way we have these last 2 games, regardless of who your quarterback is. So that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, I'm hoping he goes into this game and he, keeps his foot on the pedal and keeps going. And there's a chance that Jaron Hall just isn't good enough, or it's too early in his career, or whatever. But I think you do have to try to take that chance. And really, if you want to turn the season around, I think that's what it's going to take.
But like, and I'm fine with it off of, like, I didn't like when you're winning that football game, I didn't love it in that scenario. Like if he's going to, I mean, he's obviously going to have a full week of first team reps. Absolutely. Then in that scenario, like I'm fine with him implementing the same ish game plan. I think you do need to change it a little bit. You're actually probably gonna have him move around a little bit more, I would think, probably a little more rollouts, just because he is obviously more athletic than Kirk Cousins. So I think you're gonna implement more of that into the game plan. But at the same time, I think that like off a full week, I'm fine with you being a little bit more aggressive. I just didn't like he comes in cold off the bench, not a lot of first team reps. I didn't love that. And Sarah's absolutely right. Like, yeah, you can't, and that's on the fumble. It was a deep developing route. Like it needs to just be short one.
That's another thing.
All out of your hands and let your playmakers do the work, and then take a couple deep shots within that. So I mean,
and even though it was a fantastic game called, like it was a fantastic game called by Kevin O'Connell in there, but still there is just moments where you're like, we just run the ball like twice in a row for 0 yards, and then we try to throw past the first down, and we're not doing these little short slant passes enough.
He did implement those a lot more. Like we actually seeing Jordan Addison be the Jordan Addison.
Well, yeah, that's what that should happen, but we're not seeing enough of the short passes. At least in this last game, no matter what, like our offense was rolling, so it's like I can only say so much. But there's times where it's just like, why does it have to be run, and then throw like 10 yards instead of it being like a little like 5 yard? I don't even care if it's like a 3 yard dump. Sometimes we do it, but 3 yard dump pass, and not, or it's a screen. Or whatever. So I do want to see more of that going forward. And I definitely, if you do have a rookie quarterback, it's probably a good time to have him throw a couple like little intermediate, shorter type of routes as well, to just get him, more accustomed to the NFL and everything that brings. But so I don't know. And this is going to be, and like you said, again, like you do got a more mobile quarterback. So it is going to be interesting to see how KOC changes his play philosophy or whatever, like or play style, or how he has kind of created this offense for Kirk Cousins. But now let's see how he can do an audible and change it for a guy that's a little bit more mobile. And if he can do that successfully, that's going to be another big thing to watch in these upcoming games.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. It sucks. Or obviously it sucks for Kirk Cousins. It sucks for the Vikings in general. We really had our hopes up that the team will turn around, but there's I mean, there's a chance Jaron Hall comes in here and he still succeeds.
Right.
And man, and we get a good idea of what we have in him. And maybe it's something really good. We don't know.
You
But
never
at
know.
least there's a little excitement there, having that as even a potential option. So
And he's stepping into a really good situation right now.
yeah.
Like eventually he'll get JJ back. You have Addison who's playing well. You have KJ who's playing well. You have a top, like as I said earlier, a top 5-10 offensive line. I think I saw Sarah mention it a couple times. But yeah, the running game is pretty anemic at this point. Madison, it just keeps showing time and time again. He just isn't that guy to be your workhorse running back.
I think it should be
Cam
mostly
Akers, maybe
Cam
even Ty.
Akers.
I think Ty Chandler needs to get a little bit of run at this point as well.
Yeah.
I think you do kind of need to go with the 3-headed monster approach at running back. But something does need to change there because yes, it will. What helps a young quarterback is a better running game for sure.
Yeah,
so you do need to get that going to help him out. Again, like you said, I would rather them not go full run because then at that point, like you're just not going to win enough football games that way. So
let's answer Two Evil's question here. Jamie and Case, if you could make the call to sign a quarterback from outside the organization, who would you guys pick? Brady's, Bortles, Keenum, Lance?
Well, I mean,
I
think everybody would pick Brady.
Yeah.
Brady, I think with the whole minority ownership,
I would
Raiders,
instantly say yes to Brady.
Yeah, but with the whole minority ownership in the Raiders, I don't think he can.
Even if he wanted to.
Team. I mean, if I had to pick one,
I would probably
Trey Lance. I don't know. It's tough. I mean,
I would go
because of the connection. Keenum, he's been here. Obviously, completely different team. So I don't think Keenum would be a great fit with this team, unfortunately.
I would go Winston over all those guys.
Yeah,
if we could probably. Over those guys. Other than like, I would take it if we put Hall out there and it was just obvious in like his first start or first 2 starts, and it was like, all right, Hall is just obviously not there yet. And he's also 25 years old. So it's just like, you're going to have a good idea of where he's at when we do see him. It's not going to be a thing like Trey Lance is still 21 years old, isn't he? Or 22. Like he's a young 22, something like that. He's still young. So if we saw that and we're like, all right, let's go trade. Like, I forgot what was the deal for Trey Lance when the Cowboys got him?
I think a 5th round pick or something like that.
Like a 5th. Like if we were able to, I don't know, let's say we got Trey Lance for like a 4th round or something. And then he can't, like, I would like at least you put another guy in a situation where we can see what he has. And if that doesn't work out either, then we go grab our quarterback. But I'd rather see, I like the idea of having Jaron Hall play and seeing what we have in him and having a young player, or unless because I just don't think there's anyone available that I think is going to come in and be anything that special for us where I think we could honestly make a playoff run. I don't think there's a single player other than maybe Brady, which isn't going to happen. Yeah, and I don't think Keenum, he's not even on a team, is he?
No.
I'd rather
see Teddy. I think he's a 3rd stringer in Houston right now.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. I'd rather see Teddy or keep Hall. I'd probably rather just keep Mullins.
Yeah.
And then let Hall play. And then if it's not working out, bring Mullins in if you need to.
Give me Will Levis. Let's go back. Draft Will Levis.
Go trade a 1st for Will Levis.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm kidding. But I guess
what up, Dave?
I know some people have with Will Levis and how well he played that first game. I know some people have floated Ryan Tannehill's name out there. A
lot of people like Huntley. Yogi was yelling for Huntley. Huntley's played pretty well for Lamar.
I think at this point, I understand. Like the question was, if you could, who would you go with? But I do think the right call is to stick with. And I saw Sarah mention it. Hall does know the system. He's been here because we were even talking about this when we were talking about trading away Kirk Cousins. That a team doesn't normally get it trade for a quarterback mid-season that they plan on stepping in to start right away. It'd be a couple weeks down the road, and at that point, if Hall doesn't turn out, he's probably going to be your guy anyway. So then you've given away draft picks. You'd be 4-6 at that point, probably out of things again anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think your best bet. And as I said earlier, your best bet is to ride with Jaron Hall because he knows the offense, and then we'll get to see what kind of leader / head coach Kevin O'Connell is going to be for the team. Yeah, Slaughter would be interesting, but I know he's doing the quarterback film breakdown thing as of late. That's kind of his new thing. So.
I'm glad he didn't need a wheelchair while on the field. No, I think Hall is the best choice, regardless if you want the Vikings to lose games and go into the draft next year, or if you want the team to turn around. Because if he comes in and he's better than what people think, or he actually is a good football player, then there's going to be a lot of excitement in his fan base. Or he's not that great, and we're losing games, and then we do get a better draft pick or whatever. So I do think you can kind of I don't know. I think it's kind of good for both sides of that
Yeah.
spectrum. So I don't know. I think you roll with Jaren Hall. If it's really that terrible and we feel so confident, like Casey said, if we lose these next 2 games and we're 4-6, well, what kind of moves do you want us to make? We ain't giving up draft picks.
Right.
We can't even trade actually because
right.
we'd have to trade by tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
and that's kind of specifically why I don't think we will make
Mafia.
a trade, is because hearing what Kevin O'Connell had to say today with not wanting to, basically saying, yes, we want to be competitive this year, but we also do have a future to look at here and want to be competitive down the road. You have to kind of factor that in. And I really do kind of have the feeling that there is going to be no significant trade. Hey, I know that guy. If we pay money, the league knows we are tanking. Yeah, that is very true. And that's the thing. If we start trading away players, that's why I said by tomorrow we'll kind of know what the plan is. Because if we start trading away players, then at that point, I don't think the locker room knows, like, okay, we're kind of packing it in this year. So I don't think they will. I mean,
I think the Vikings are going to be as
talking about it with Daniil. You're not gonna get a haul for Daniil Hunter at this point, unfortunately, because the leverage just isn't quite there.
And I think the Vikings, unless they already said like they're going to have to get at least a first round if that happens. And it might, I mean, we'll see. But I think the Vikings are going to be as conflicted as us fans, where I don't think they're going to know what way to go. And I think their best option is honestly just to stand pat. I don't think you should. Yeah. I don't think you should make a move to try to make playoffs, but I'm not sure if you should get rid of a player either, because I don't think after those 2 games, I don't think the Vikings are thinking like, hey, let's get Jaren Hall in there and then our season's over. Like, even with Kirk gone, I highly doubt any of the players are sitting there thinking this season's over. I'm thinking, my guess is they're still hoping we can turn things around. But if I'm the Vikings upper management, I'm not like taking a chance on like being a buyer either. So I think they're going to be really conflicted. And my guess is we don't see any moves, any drastic moves before the trade deadline tomorrow on either side. I don't think we're sellers. I don't think we're buyers. I think if we would have won, if Kirk didn't get hurt, I could have seen us be buyers. If we didn't beat San Francisco or Green Bay, I would have saw us being sellers. But
right. Yeah. And at this point,
you're
just kind of like, now your hands are kind of up and you don't necessarily know what's going to happen. And that's the most unfortunate thing. And now, I don't know. It's the most unfortunate thing is obviously I was very kind of bored with football because this team just wasn't doing well. And we had a lot of future talk, which hasn't really changed because now it kind of opens that up even more. But it's just frustrating, man. Like, this team was finally starting to show some signs of life. And then this happens, and just unfortunate timing, typical Minnesota sports luck, man. And I mean, it's tough to sit here and talk about what the rest of the season looks like, because we don't really know, just because there's so much uncertainty about. I mean, I know some people had tossed around the idea of Colt McCoy as well, but I don't know. I really think at the end of the day, as we've said multiple times tonight, just stick with Hall, ride it out, see what happens. I mean, if you make a run, awesome, great. If you don't, like you said, you probably get a little bit of a better draft pick. So I don't know. And to be on this team, it's got to be debilitating as well. I mean, and as I said, watching that post-game locker room thing with just listening to them talk, they said it was just a very somber. I mean, a win in Green Bay is huge, but it's just a very somber mood. And I think people aren't going to tell you they can feel it, but everybody can feel it. People are going to try to keep the head up, be like, we got to do this, we got to get better at this. But I think they all kind of know. And I saw, people at work were saying today that, like, you almost noticed the offensive line didn't play as well after Kirk went out. And I mean, that's just going to happen, right? Because the entire team, the defense is still firing on all cylinders, but everybody on that offense who spends every day with Kirk at practice and in the locker room, the fact that after he went down, like, you could just tell that the offense just kind of lost a little bit of gas there, which is 100% fair. Like, it's just a debilitating at the end. I mean, honestly, it's a season crushing injury. Like, let's just call it what it is.
Especially after like the turnaround, the Creed thing, Kirko thing. Like, there's a lot going on that seems a little bit even deeper than just football going on in that locker room in these last 2 games, So for it just to get crushing like that, I do want to say one thing is Adrian Peterson, though. Is he out on Dancing with the Stars?
I think so. Yeah. I think he lost.
So he is available. He's available. I also wanted to hit on that too. I think Akers is pretty good, and I think it's more of the thing with Akers. Like, he's obviously, I think he ended up having just 3 yards a carry, but it's just like you can see how much potential he has. But the thing with him is like we'll have him for a drive and he'll look really good. I mean, he had the first rushing touchdown, really good drive, and then the next drive you bring Madison out there. You're not playing it's like they're playing the opposite of the hot hand with Madison and Akers. I think it just should be a lot more Akers than it should be Madison going forward at the very least. I think going forward, because I do think Akers has showed some real skill. So I'm not as worried. I'm more worried about Kevin O'Connell playing more Akers than us needing to go find another running back. I'm not trading for a running back after I already know a lot of these people that are talking about getting a running back in here were ready to get rid of Cook soon as possible because we didn't want to spend money on a running back. So I'm not trying to trade for
That's
one.
why I'm not in for trading for like Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry.
No, I'm not making a Josh. You're going to
because
cost you at least a second round pick,
and
third round
and
pick
you got
for
to take
Josh
on, and
Jacobs.
you got to take on their contract. And
yeah,
my
exactly.
biggest thing with Delvin was the money. Like I liked Delvin, and he's shown he's not the same guy right now. It's the money. I wasn't going to pay a running back who was on the decline that much money. And and even with Barkley and Jacobs, who are kind of in their prime as running backs, I don't want that either. Like I don't want to take on the money because that was my biggest issue was the money. So, yeah, like I think give Akers a shot. I think Akers is plenty good enough to be. I mean, he's done it before in this league. I think he's plenty good enough to be a starting caliber running back, at least handling a ball probably 60% of the carries. So, yeah, I just think O'Connell just needs to toss Akers in there and give him more run. Like that's kind of what
I think. Because even at the end of the Packers game, all of a sudden Akers wasn't even in there anymore. Like Madison, they were like pretty equal in carries, and Madison ended up with 16. Hey, see you later, Justin. I'm out, boys. I'll be on at 8:15. Come on over, y'all. Yeah, everybody in here, you got right after this show, go pop in with Justin on Purple and Gold for days. For sure. Go get Kareem Hunt. Yeah. I don't think they're gonna give him to us. Honestly, that would have been perfect if Chubb was still in there,
or if we'd assigned him to begin with. But
yeah,
I think Akers is perfectly fine. Give Akers a go for sure.
Right. But yeah, back to this game in general. I have the PFF stuff. I kind of want to look into that real quick because I haven't took a peek at that yet. By the way, I made some poor decisions on picking doing that picking thing on that draft. We are on the show on Thursday, so I picked teams, and it was not. This would have been the week for us to do a bye week. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams that I don't know. I should have did better. But anyways, let's start with the offense here because I still want to see it. That's what's crazy. Kirk Cousins with a 90 overall and then gets injured. That's just the most Viking thing ever. Hey, you got Jaron Hall coming here with a 76.
There we go.
In his limited play. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what is in Jaron Hall. Like there's a little bit of excitement there. TJ Hawkinson 70.7, 68.6. Jordan Addison. We got the wide receivers here. Josh Oliver, Christian Darris. Our O-line didn't have a lot of high graders this time. Both of them, CJ, Ty, Cam Akers with 59.4, N'Keal Harry, he was out there, Garrett Bradbury, Madison 52.5. Madison's pretty low on this list like every time. And then to bottom out, Dalton Reiser and Ed Ingram, both are guards. So maybe not from PFF standards, maybe not the best performance by our O-line, but it wasn't too bad when we were watching the game. I didn't feel like Kirk Cousins was like constantly pressured or anything like that.
No, for sure not.
Let's look at defense and Danielle Hunter. That's the thing about Danielle Hunter. Like, there's no question he can go to a good team with Super Bowl aspirations and really change things for their defense, I think. And I don't think it's impossible for someone to come out and be like, all right, I'll give you a first round pick for him. If it's not, I'm like, fuck you. I don't even care. Like, I'm not trading you him. But if someone's willing to give a first round pick, I mean, that'd be the only way I would do something like that. And honestly, you could almost argue even more than that now because he got another sack here. He has 10 sacks on the season, which probably leads the NFL. But a guy that we need to talk about is how Mekhi Blackmon looked, especially towards the end of the game. 90 coverage or defensive grade with 90.2 in coverage. And I think he ended up with 3 pass defenses.
Yeah, one really nice one in the end zone there.
Really nice one in the end zone. He looked fantastic, dude. And my prediction this season going into it was that Mekhi Blackmon would eventually take over a Caleb, even though Caleb Evans has looked pretty solid so far this season. It wasn't great yesterday, really, but otherwise mostly pretty solid. But I had a feeling that Blackmon just has that coverage ability, that one-on-one coverage ability, and I think we've seen the best performance by him in that Packer game. And so obviously PFF agreed 90.1. That's fantastic for him.
2-3-4 are played really, really well yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Josh Metellus with that interception. We've seen a lot of balls being just ripped out of people's hands this season, for whether it's us or another team.
Yeah.
Harrison Phillips, another guy. I think I've seen the best game out of him I've seen since he's been a Viking, and I was really like seeing like that run stuff he had on. I think it was it third down in the red zone or whatever. I don't know. He had a couple really big plays. He even had a sack. I really like to see him in this game. Ivan Pace Jr. again, only 21 total snaps. We are definitely bringing more safeties in. We're seeing a lot more Josh Metellus than Ivan Pace Jr., but still pretty solid, 72.9, and still 63.3 pass rush grade. Harrison Smith, 66.3. Theo, 66. Obviously, these guys don't play a lot. Jordan Hicks, still a solid game for him. He did have the what was it? Was it on the field goal where no. That was Ward. He was offsides on one big play. I remember. I forgot which one it was. Jaquelin Roy, 59.8. Tonga, obviously, all these guys. Andre Carter played for a little bit, kind of low. Andrew Booth. Murphy, 42.5. Murphy's having just an all right season. You see a Caleb Evans with the 46.5 as well. So I do think we're going to see some more Blackmon going forward. Yeah. I don't know. So, we whooped the Packers' ass. The Packers. One thing we can say, all this going on, one thing we can say for sure is I don't think Jordan Love's not going to be an Aaron Rodgers. Like, who knows? Maybe he has potential to be a decent quarterback, but we're not dealing with an Aaron Rodgers. We're not dealing with the Brett Favre. I feel confident saying that, and we're dealing with the Packers team that really isn't that good. So, there's a silver lining in that, and us going to the Lambeau Field and beating them the way we did, man. It was a fun one to watch.
Just pointing out some performances. Kirk Cousins, of course, for the injury, 23 of 31, 274, 2 touchdowns, absolutely slinging it out there. KJ, 8 catches, 99 yards. TJ, 6 catches, 88 yards in the touchdown. Addison, 7 catches, 82 yards, a touchdown. I believe that brings his total up to 7 touchdowns this season.
Dude, what a baller, bro.
I think he's in second place overall for receiving touchdowns, and I think he's
in the NFL. He is behind 8 with Tyreek Hill.
And I think he's on pace to break some rookie records as well. I mean, halfway through the season, 7 receiving touchdowns already. I mean, has JJ had 7 receiving touchdowns in a season yet? Again, that's not a slight at all because JJ just.
But you're right. Yeah, I don't know if he has.
No, for sure.
And you mentioned this too, because Jordan, obviously, like 7 touchdowns is ridiculous. And I know it's so funny because people are starting to put up like all the first round or wide receivers taken, and Jordan Addison has just been by far the best. The only that Puka or whatever from the Rams is like the only one that can compete with them. But he only has 2 touchdowns. It's like if you weigh touchdowns pretty significantly, there's an argument that Jordan Addison has been the best wide receiver rookie so far. But the thing is with Jordan Addison is, he's looking fantastic. Obviously, he is just a rookie, but you were right when you told me that's one thing about him, though, is he needs just to hold the ball when he's after contact, even with the ground, not just when he gets hit, but even when he hits the ground, it kind of pops out sometimes.
Yeah. And that's something that JJ has been good at since the day he got here, was catching through contact. And that is definitely something. Because if Addison does that, he's got 8 touchdowns this year. Because
let's go, Dylan.
He catches that other touchdown, and he gets adds more yardage. He had another that catch on the sidelines that would have been an absolutely beautiful throw and catch had he brought it in. Just a couple little things like that. Defensively, Josh Metellus with the big interception. Harrison Phillips and Cam Bynum each had half a sack. 2 pass defense for Cam Bynum, continuing his great season. Caleb Evans got picked on a little bit. He had some big penalties and some bad plays, but he also did have end up having a pass defense. Daniil Hunter with a sack, DJ Wanham with 2. DJ Wanham is the guy. I know me and you had different opinions coming into the season. He's looking phenomenal right now.
Yeah, way better than any of us could expect.
Yeah, DJ Wanham is playing fantastic. And of course, we got to get down to my boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the kicker on this team, and he is becoming a problem. 1 of 3 on his field goals. One of them was blocked.
It was blocked, yeah.
Missed another one pretty far right, the 44-yarder.
Mm-hmm.
He's missed quite a few kicks the last couple of weeks. Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe it's...
I swear there's something about, like, he almost needs the pressure. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was going to say.
It's like anytime we're just winning in a game is when he wants to decide to miss kicks and extra points and all that. So that's what, 3? That's 4, including the extra point. That's 4 missed kicks in the last 2 games then. Because he missed a field. Did he miss a field goal last game too against San Francisco, not the Packers?
Yep. So, and then Ty Chandler had the one really nice return that unfortunately did get called back, which is whatever.
I know, dude. It was just like he was just gonna come out and score a touchdown, and we haven't seen anything close to that other than Kine last year. He did have one, but other than that, like, man, we just never see anything from our special teams, and that's like one thing for Paul. Like, he's been solid, but I don't know. I still don't think he's that special as a punt returner. I like him on this team. He's especially, like, we're using him the way we should have used Rager. Like, we'll use him on end arounds and little tricks, plays like that. So I like that, but I don't think he's that great as a punt returner. He doesn't really seem to really do that much anytime he gets it. So I don't know. But yeah, overall, I wanted to hit up Dylan here though, because Jamie, you and I were right about Addison. Let's go. I still have a video. I have a clip of the video when we did our top 5 wide receivers of last year's draft, and I had Addison, and I just went in on Addison a lot. So I'm gonna, one of these times on here, I'm gonna post that little clip just because, hey, I'm gonna ride this. I rode the Addison thing from the beginning, so I put some ego on the line on the Addison thing. I could have went total failure, and I could have been totally wrong about him. So
to be fair, though, I did have him number 2. I had Zay Flowers number 1, who Zay Flowers has looked pretty good as well. Not touchdowns, not nearly as many touchdowns, but Zay Flowers has still looked pretty good yardage.
He's been the second best wide receiver of the first round.
Yeah.
The hard thing, like Puka, we didn't dig that far. We're looking at Puka,
right?
But
for sure,
I don't know.
But at the end of the day, I guess just kind of last thoughts on this game. A lot of good individual performances. This should have been that game where, because if Kirk doesn't get hurt, I think we do score another touchdown. I think we win this game 31-10, if not more.
Yeah.
This could have been that defining moment after a really good win against San Francisco, which it still kind of was. I mean, you still went into Lambeau and you still laid the smackdown on that team. You made Jordan Love look pretty foolish out there. So did some of his receivers as well. But at the end of the day, it really is just brought down by the fact that Kirk Cousins will no longer be playing football for this season for the Vikings, and foreseeable in the future. Obviously it's very much up in the air.
Right.
And it sucks, right? As we said, right? As this team was kind of trying to find themselves a little bit and maybe going to make a push for the division. Yeah. They're only going to be a couple games back, but
it's not over though. It's not over.
But
I don't think the Vikings organization is gonna, like, I think we've done enough in those 2 games to bring up the morale, I think, in the locker room and even as a fan base to be like, all right, like, let's see what Jaren Hall has. Maybe it fails miserably and we're all back to like, who's the quarterback we want next year's draft. But we're not there yet. There's that still a little bit of optimism, I think, that Jaren Hall comes in and plays some solid football. So
yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of a somber win. Not very, who knows what the future holds. But yeah, I mean, we could all hope for the best. We hope Jaren Hall comes in. We hope Kevin O'Connell, see how Kevin O'Connell is with developing a young quarterback, because it'll still give you a vision next season what to expect from what Kevin O'Connell is going to do with this team and with the potential new quarterback coming to next year. So we'll see what we can do. Unfortunately, no more Kirk Cousins, but this, as a lot of players said, the show must go on. So
Yep. All right, let's do this. You want to put it in the better view, Casey? There we go. All right, get those hashtag skulls in the comments. We're about to run this bad boy. What, 1 more week? Yeah, 1 more week for sure. I don't know. It sounded like he was looking pretty good in his rehab assignment or whatever. So we probably will see him. Who is it after Atlanta?
The Saints, I believe.
The Saints, yeah. So we'll probably see him soon. And man, that's what I'm like. I'm obviously like, there's that little part of me that I'm like, man, what if Jaren Hall could just be that guy? So I don't know. I hope he comes in and he balls out.
a guy
or like a Brock
be
Purdy
solid.
type,
Right.
even a Brock Purdy type, whatever.
Sure.
You know, I'm excited. So it'll be cool to kind of see that. And then if he is, and you know, it could. The best case scenario is Hall comes in and balls out, and we feel so confident as a fan base that we don't even need to draft a quarterback next year, and we make playoffs. That's best case scenario. Will it happen? Luck's not on, or the odds are probably not on our side, but hey, at least there's hope. There's hope. It's happened. Okay. Yeah, Patriots for San Francisco last year. It happens. Mm-hmm. Anything but Mannion. Yeah, that's. I'm pretty much at that. I would, especially like. I think my worst fear is all of a sudden we see Sunday Mannion starting over Hall. Please just don't let that happen. There's just no make. We already Mannion's already not good. Like, what's the point? I don't think we would do that though. Hall's going to get us either a high draft pick or an answer to his future. Exactly, Sarah. Exactly. That's what, yeah, exactly. I think that's why it like playing Hall works for both sides. I think it works for the people who want us to still to make playoffs and actually like do something in there. And then I think it also works for the side of people who are like wanting us to tank and get a pick. Like, I think that's the choice instead of going and paying, like trading a pick for a Winston or something, losing a pick and then, you know, barely making playoffs or something like that.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, if we go to playoffs with Hall, then you're looking at like, you know, the situation with Hall could be very optimistic going forward. So there's that chance too.
For sure.
Which I'm hoping for. But all right, I'm going to give this away. 3, 2, 1. What we got? Is it Sarah's turn again? I feel like she's due. Gary's been winning a lot. Kofi's been winning a lot. David, are you in here? You were in here not too long ago. Yeah, you're in here somewhere. David, have you won a card before? Wait for David to get in here. I know you're in here.
Good W.
Those hats you're wearing.
Like,
which ones?
The hats we're wearing now. This is my personal hat, man.
This is
I promise.
This is a Callaway hat. We could get some hats. Hey, we're gonna get some hats with some. We do have one of the. We do. There we go. David, have you won before? I feel like you have. I just don't remember. I'm gonna put our email in here regardless. We do have some shirts that we probably will give away. I'm a little disappointed in them because I made the logo smaller than I wanted to, and that's pretty much the reason why I'm not pushing them as hard as I should be. But it just give the hats. You want that hat off my head? It's a Callaway hat. It has nothing to do with the Vikings. His hat's pretty nice though. Okay, I'm gonna just put my we're gonna put our email in here, and then you can just email us. Yeah, let's go. So we got a new winner here. That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
There we go. Boom. Let's go. Yeah, I know. I could do some. Maybe the next time I'll try to get a bigger giveaway. We're still working on the other show with Purple and Scold Media. We're still working on that to try to get some bigger giveaways by winning money and stuff. And there's a couple opportunities there. So
for sure.
I'll buy a reject shirt. We have it. We do have it, Joey.
We got to find a way to get rid of those things. I mean, I still have them sitting here. You still have some sitting with you.
So. I'll grab them real quick. I'll show. I might as well just show.
Might as well. Yeah, they're a little bit. Yeah, the logo's a little bit small. We like our matchup against the Falcons. The Taylor Heineke-led Falcons? Absolutely. Somehow I think the Falcons are still 4-4 as well, leading their division, right? Is that right? But
what's that?
Yeah. I like the matchup against the Falcons for sure.
So this is it. I should have made the logo a lot bigger. We are selling them like $30. The quality of these shirts though is honestly.
I actually am wearing mine underneath here.
This is literally one of the best quality of a t-shirt I've ever owned. So I mean that it has that going for it at the very least. But I wanted like a Superman size logo on this bitch, and
like the sweatshirt size.
Yeah, the sweatshirt size, and we made the mistake, or I made the mistake.
I was gonna say we. I'm kidding.
I made the mistake on that. So if anybody is interested in getting one of these shirts, one of these shirts, just let us know on here. You can email us. I already put the email in here as well. So me and GG shirts. Yeah, we gave Gary one of the shirts and signed it for him when we were in Skullfest too. So yeah, they're nice. They're a nice shirt.
Sure.
But what flavor shirt? Do you mean the color? Consider it technically black, but it's, I don't know, it's like a dark grayish more than black, but it looks nice. Yeah, dude, it's like the nicest. It's like the nicest T-shirt I've ever had.
Yeah,
we spent a little extra to get a nice T-shirt.
Yes, that works.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right ahead, Dave. Oh, what is that, David? Okay, I see a couple Davids in here, so I got to decipher which one's which. So.
Yeah. I know we have a lot of Davids in this chat. What flavor? I don't know. What's your favorite flavor, To Evil?
Chocolate.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Charcoal color, yeah, I think
charcoal color. Yeah, I think it's more of that, dude. It is nice though,
for sure. But
nice,
all right, any other thoughts before we hop off here?
Mostly, let's let Jaren Hall in and see if this kid can ball out. You know, I think there's definitely, the season's not over yet. There's a lot of room for optimism, especially if Hall comes in and looks good. And man, you might even see the fan base kind of come together a little bit if that's the case. So
yeah, you never know.
Interesting.
But thanks everybody for hopping in. Of course, very, very somber victory Monday post game stream. Are you guys gonna watch the Lions tonight?
Yeah, that and the Wolves. I'm gonna be watching the Wolves a lot tonight. They're playing right now, actually.
Mm-hmm. But thanks again for everybody for hopping in. And
thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on we'll be on Wednesday, Skull Experience today. Make sure to check it out.
Hey, let's go Vikes.